Veterinary practice valuation in 5 minutes, or at least I'm going to try. When it comes to veterinary practice value, I want to start and back up. There are two standards of value, and it's important to understand both. They're very active right now. There's fair market value, and then there's where the value that corporations use when they buy practices, and that's called investment value or synergistic value. I want to start with fair market value. Fair market value, as an official definition from the IRS, the price at which something will change hands between a willing buyer and a willing seller, both with full knowledge of the relevant facts and neither under compulsion to act. That's fair market value. When it comes to determining the fair market value of your practice, there are 3 ways, and only 3 ways, to value anything. And it's not a Simmons thing or a McCormick thing. These are global. There's an asset approach which we do not use. The asset approach really focuses on the tangibles, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So for an active, growing veterinary practice, it's not applicable. That's really a liquidation value. There's the market approach to value. Many people are familiar with market approach through residential real estate using comps. And that is one method that we apply. We can go to the Simmons Vet Stats transaction database of over 1,000 veterinary transactions and look for comps. Other similar practices in revenue and profitability, where did they sell? There's another market approach looking at, not at specific comps, but at the market as a whole. Many people are familiar with that through selling a used car. If you go to Edmunds.com or KellyBlueBook.com, they're not comparing your car to 5 other transactions. They're comparing to all other transactions. And it's a regression method that does determine a value. The third approach to valuing is the income approach. This is the traditional means of valuing a practice. If you've heard the phrase 5 times the bottom line, that's the oversimplification of the income approach. Oversimplification because not every practice is a 5, and most people don't use the correct bottom line, and it skips a few other steps. But when applied correctly, it does result in a value. When we look at multiple value methods, we can then weight those based on confidence and applicability to your practice. That results in a value. The value of your practice includes everything that was used to generate the revenues, which results in the profit. Thus, the value includes the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. It includes the inventory at normal operating levels. It includes the goodwill, and in a transaction, it includes a non-compete covenant. It does not include past profits, your checking account, your savings account. It also does not include any leases, loans, or liabilities. Those are handled separately in a transaction. So it's important to realize, having that valuation, what is included and what's not. That's the value of the practice. If you're doing a buy-in, selling a portion of your practice to an associate, now we need to value the entity that owns the practice. So the entity owns the practice and your entity owns the checking account, the savings account, leases, loans, and liabilities. The value of the entity, it's referred to as equity value, is the sum of the assets less the liabilities. Another way to think about that is your personal net worth. How much do you own less what you owe is your net worth, very parallel to your entity's equity. So fair market value is where doctor-to-doctor transactions occur. And that's what we work on, and we can specifically quantify that value. The other standard of value, investment value or synergistic value, this is a price to an individual, to that buyer. And that's why when we present practices for sale to corporations, the offers can vary by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, from one entity to another entity, because it's worth a different amount to each buyer. So there is no standard, your practice is worth 2 times revenues. Well, it might be 2, might be 3, it depends on how bad they want it. Which is why when it comes to corporate transactions, I really recommend date many, marry one. Because if you negotiate all the offers up to the same level, then you can select the one that's the best match instead of falling for the highest price. So this is a short overview of practice value. Definitely contact us. We're happy to talk about practice value more specifically to your situation. We're here when needed. Thank you.